Okay. Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoy the music lounge while waiting for the start. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jackie from ERS Energy, and welcome to ERS webinar in collaboration with UOB. So, today I'll be the moderator for today's webinar session together with my colleague Shire. So, our representative from UOB Bank today is Mr. Wasisto. Okay, will be joining us together. A special guest also from Malaysia Investment Development Authority, Puan Zulina, will also be sharing with us with their insights. So today we will be sharing on 3 key main points. Number 1 is how solar PV system work. Number 2 is what incentives we currently have available, and also how you can purchase or finance your solar PV system. There's a Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, okay, where you can list out your questionnaire during the webinar, and we will attend to it during the Q&A session. You can put the vote on the question posted, and we will try to select the top question to be answered live during the Q&A session. So now that we have MIDA as a bonus segment with us, we might pull the Q&A session a little bit longer, so that we can cater to all the questions. Okay. So now let us move on with the webinar. So just to give you all an overview, ERS Energy is a homegrown Malaysia-based company with more than 10 years experience in solar PV industry. So all our designs and engineering are all done locally here in Malaysia. So other than Malaysia, we are operating and present in the ASEAN region like Vietnam, Philippines, and Indonesia also. So ER's current rooftop solar segment breakdown are residential scale at around 20%, commercial scale at 31%, and industrial scale at 42%. So this is consists of about average 45 megawatt peak that we have done so far. So from here, you can see that we actually cater to all segments of rooftop solar PV system. So now we will demonstrate how a typical solar PV system is installed. So a solar PV system means using photovoltaic panels to convert sunlight into electricity. There are 4 main components in the solar PV system. There are the PV modules, the PV inverter, the mounting structure, and the balance of system, such like cables and protective devices. So number 1, when the solar photovoltaic panels are in the main components that convert sunlight into electricity. After that, the mounting structure then holds the solar PV panels securely on your rooftop. And then the wiring works would then connect your solar panels to the inverter, which is normally at the ground level of your building. The inverter converts the solar electrical energy into compatible electrical energy with TMB. So the output of the inverter will then connect to protective devices before feeding into the electrical panel. Here, you will see a 320 kilowatt peak rooftop solar PV system installed in Banting, Malaysia. So it is installed with 820 pieces of high efficiency tier 1 JA solar module, mono-PERC technology PV modules, together with 4 units of Huawei 60 kilowatt inverter. As you can see here, we have designed the rooftop solar layout to ensure there is sufficient walkway for further operation and maintenance. As you can see from the picture, we have designed the PV module to be placed away from the jet roof also to minimize shading for performance efficiency. So this rooftop solar PV system will cover up to 60% of the factory's daily consumption needs and generating about 365 megawatt hour of energy annually. The inverters are installed with sufficient gap in between each other to ensure ventilation is sufficient during operation. And these inverters comes with built-in electrical protection. So all cables and management are neatly done and labeled, so future maintenance purposes are taken care. So as you can observe, right, from our illustration, this is how the inverter connect to the electrical panel of a building. So a solar PV system can be seamlessly integrated into a building as if right, it is a straightforward plug and play system. We have also deployed our team to install rooftop solar PV system for petrol stations nationwide. Okay, our team met the stringent safety requirements to execute the installation on site. In all our installation, we have encountered all sorts of different roofs, which has given us the experience in engineering different types of mounting solutions to secure the PV modules on your roof. As you can see in this picture, the mounting is done on a metal deck sheet without having puncture to the roof sheet. So waterproofing is taken care here. This is a 1.3 megawatt peak rooftop solar PV system installed across 3 different locations. 26 units of top-tier German inverters are installed together with 4,000 pieces of Tier 1 PV modules. This is the second location of the same project. The solar PV modules are installed to accommodate the roof structural strength, where we do not cover all the roof space available to ensure safe operation for more than 20 years. Lastly, this is the third location consisting of the 1.3 megawatt peak rooftop solar PV system. As you can see here, you can see a very nice link. All right, here you can see some examples of residential solar PV system that we have installed. Here is also another example of residential rooftop solar PV system. You can see how the inverters are being installed on site, and Skyleaf here is deployed during rooftop installation. I hope everyone now have a brief understanding on how solar works. So now my colleague Shiwei will be taking over to share about the solar incentives we currently have available. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Jackie, for the introduction and info sharing. So why do we say the time to invest in a solar PV system is now? Because we have the solar incentives from the government. Number 1, the net energy metering incentive, and 2, mainly for businesses, will be the double tax incentives. Now, what is NEM, or net energy metering? This is actually a electricity bills savings incentive by SEDA, or we call Sustainable Energy Development Authority. The incentive works by offsetting the consumption with the solar PV generation on a 1-to-1 tariff basis. And any extra export credit can be carried forward for up to 24 months. This incentive is introduced by our government to encourage the adoption of solar PV system as the target to achieve 20% of the renewable energy in the electricity mix by year 2025. And here I have a short video explaining on NEM by SEDA.
Want to save your electricity bills? Then NEM is the right solution for you. Generate and consume your own electricity using solar panel on your rooftop via NEM program. Besides, any excess energy generated by your solar PV system can be offset on a one-on-one basis. Here are the options of solar PV purchasing modes that you can choose from. Once you have chosen your preferred mode, the RPVI or RPVSP will apply for NEM on behalf of the customer. Look how much energy you can save by going solar. Find out more information on NEM by visiting SEDA's website.
Yeah, so yes. So as you can see in the video, they explain that this NEM needs to be applied to SEDA. So how is the NEM application process like? you need to apply it to any RPV-SP, which is a registered PV service provider. This NEM incentive is only applicable to users who are registered with TMB and only in the Peninsular Malaysia. For any system capacity that's more than 72 kilowatt peak, right, SEDA is required to do this NEM study, NEMA's assessment study. This is to ensure that the system do not interfere with the grid's integrity. So in this table here, you can see the fees structure that's for the different capacity of the PV system. Now in this bar chart here, you can see that the savings from the NEM's incentive will bring you. The savings is calculated in this comparison is based on the industrial tariff rate, which is 0.441 kilowatts hours per kilowatt, 0.441 ringgit Malaysia per kilowatt hour. So here you can see in this bar chart, right, before the solar PV system is being implemented, a total of kilowatt hours imported is above 55 megawatt hours, which is about 24,000 ringgit. And after the PV system has been implemented, the kilowatt hours is import goes below 46 megawatt hours, which is around 20 or 1,000 ringgit. And only in this alone, you have already savings of about 4,000 ringgit. And this is excluding the NEM export here, right? So fast forward to November, December, January of this year, you can see there's an even lower of import kilowatt hours, which is less than 30 megawatt hours, about 13,000 ringgit Malaysia, which translates to a 10,000 total 10,000 ringgit of savings. So you can imagine if we include NEM export, right? You do the offset, there will be even more savings. And here, of course, during March and April this year, where MCO period, during the MCO period, you can see there's a lot of NEM export because of the halt in business and operation. So technically, the differences, the bill that you pay is the differences in between these two bars. So now for businesses, right, you'll be interested to know more about the double tax incentive. So the double tax incentives it's two different categories. One is the capital allowance, and the other is the green investment tax allowance. It is now we are following a 24% rate because we follow the current corporate tax rate. So how capital allowance works is that it's similar to anything that you claim under your business asset, like your car or any machinery that you purchase as asset under your company. So solar PV system is classified under the plant and machinery category. Similarly, it has an initial allowance of 20% for the first year, and then an annual allowance of 14% for 6 years. For the green investment tax allowance, right, or short form, we call it JITA, you can claim up to 70% of statutory income. Any unclaimed allowance can be carried forward up to 5 years. And this, you have to apply to agencies like MIDA and GreenTech, which from MIDA, Pan Zulina will explain further on that process later at the end. So this also has fees involved. So the fees increases as the project value increases. Now let me show you how this double tax incentive is being calculated. In this Excel sheet here, you can see double tax incentive at 48%. So let's say a project capex of 1 million ringgit, just for the simplicity of this calculation here. So 48% will be 480,000. So under capital allowance here, which we can claim 24%. On year one, initial allowance plus annual allowance of 34%. So we take 34% of this 240,000. So for first year, you can claim at this value. And for year two, which is only annual allowance, is the 14% multiplied by 240,000. So that goes on until year 6, In year 6, it's 10% because the total sum here is only 100%. So you can see here, that's how we get 240,000. For green investment tax allowance, 24%. So let's say, and you can claim up to 70% of your statutory income. So say your year 1 statutory income is 300,000. So we take 70% of that 300,000, you can get 210,000 tax claim for this year. And of course, remaining will be just the 30,000 for year 2. And this is how we get 240,000 here and 240,000 here. If there's any questions, you can ask maybe later at the end of during the Q&A session. Let's go back to the slides. So how can you fund the solar PV system investment, you might ask? So here are some financing methods. 1, with cash or outright purchase. 2, with the credit card. Of course, this is mainly applicable for residential clients. 3, solar leasing. And of course, today UOB will share how they can support in terms of the installment payment plans and the bank loan facility. I welcome Mr. Wasito from UOB back to share with us their U Solar program from here. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome everyone. So basically, first of all, I would like to introduce a brief introduction about UOB. So we have presence in the region with more than 500 branches and offices, also in 19 countries and territories in Asia Pacific, Europe, and North America. We have offices in the region, more than 7 offices. So basically, including the head office in Singapore, China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and the latest one is in Vietnam. And in 2019, we are rated among the world's top banks from Moody's, S&P's, and Fitch Ratings. Okay, so what we do, I am from the Construction and Infrastructure Center of Excellence in UOB. So it falls under the group wholesale banking. Basically, what we're doing is we're providing a corporate and institutional financing for medium, large enterprises, local corporations, MNCs, financial institutions, government-linked entities, and so on. Okay, so this is the industry perspective and the QR code that you can actually scan and maybe you can download and browse through the industry perspective that we provided. Okay, next, the power landscape and opportunities. So as we see here that the power is still a key driver for the sustainable growth in this region. As you can see, the demand is still there, and then the countries are still growing into an emerging market. And that's what actually drives the power sector also. If you see here, the energy mix in this region is still dominated mostly by fossil fuels, the conventional power like coal and gas. But as we see, the governments in this region is also targeting that in 2021, the Southeast Asia energy mix actually will, the renewable part will increase from 18% in 2016 to 28% in 2021, which they will reduce the conventional power portion. Okay, that's the Southeast Asia. And actually, currently, globally, the significant growth of renewable energy in terms of capacity generation is already surpassed the fossil fuels. If you see there, that the 64% of the global capacity generation coming from renewable, whereas 48% coming from solar and wind. And this just to show another driver for the governments to push more into renewable energy is the Paris Climate Accord, the COP21, which the countries actually pledged to reduce their carbon emission by adding more renewable energy power plants into their power generation. So now we're coming into why solar. out of the whole renewable energy out there. So basically in this region, the Southeast Asia region, we have a very good position in terms of solar irradiance, which is actually ranging, the solar irradiance ranging from 1,460 to 1,900 kilowatt hours per square meters, which then translates into around 3.5 to 6 hours each day. That's average annual. And also the solar PV technology right now, it's reaching a more mature state with the annual system degradation rate factor at around 1 to 2%. But actually currently the real practice we see a lot of them are the degradation rate is coming to like around 0.6, 0.7% a year. And we also see the development of battery storage, getting more capacity on the storage, and also try to push the price of the battery itself coming down. And for the solar irradiance data itself, it's publicly available pretty much from NASA Meteornorm SolarGIS, and it ranged for a period of over 30 years. Okay, now coming to the common questions and misconceptions on solar. So some of you might think that solar PV is a new technology and subject to obsolescence. While actually the research on the solar PV itself already dating way back over 40 years ago. So as I mentioned before, currently the technical and economical lifespan of the solar PV and the annual degradation rate is already more than less than 1%. Some might also ask, solar energy is actually dependent on government subsidies to be competitive with other energy. If you see in the chart there, that the levelized cost of energy, which is the capex and the opex throughout the lifetime of the project itself, solar is actually already lower than the conventional power such as coal and gas, which makes it a competitive source and a better in terms of a tariff itself. Okay, so a lot of people also ask us, what if there is no sunlight and extended raining season? So as I already mentioned before, that annually in this region, we throughout the year we have actually this constant around 3.5 to 6 hours daily sun hours. So and the data itself already available for over 30 years. Next question is maybe solar PV is expensive to install. But if you see, since the introduction in the early 1970s, the production cost is actually already declined over 90%, or maybe 80% from 2010 until 2019, because of the increase in manufacturing efficiencies, the economies of scale, and improved technology. So in terms of the efficiency of the panel itself. Another question is, you might ask, solar panels are maintenance heavy and can cause roof damage. Well, basically, maybe my colleagues from ERS can also, maybe later you can ask them about the maintenance itself. It's actually a limited maintenance needed, and the panels is the lifespan is over 20 to 25 years. We have a warranty there, from the manufacturer. And also the solar panels, the module itself is installed on railings rather than directly to the roof. Thus, provide another layers to protect the roof, basically. Okay, will solar energy ever become mainstream? So, due to the improved efficiency from the technology itself and the manufacturing, so we will see another price reduction in the upcoming years, I think, which will drive a faster adoption rate to the solar PV technology itself. Okay, now I would like to go to the solar opportunities in Malaysia.
I would say that Malaysia is one of the more advanced countries in the region in terms of renewable energy and also push for the solar itself. So the government is already having a renewable energy target to 20% by 2025, which that translate into an estimated investment of around 33 billion ringgit. We have also in Malaysia the GITA, the Green Investment Tax Allowance and Tax Exemption, which is extended to 2023, as Puan Zulina already mentioned before. And the potential itself for solar capacity in Malaysia, in terms of looking from the number of the rooftop space in Malaysia, Malaysia itself has a potential of 34 gigawatt. Okay, now coming to the U-Solar program. U-Solar program is, we like to say it as the Asia's first integrated solar energy platform across the country, the UOB key markets. So the objectives is actually to promote sustainability awareness to the public, like the webinar that we do today. And then we also like to support the ecosystem players, the value chain of the solar industry itself, from the project developer or project owner, the EPC contractors, and the last is also to empower end users with solar financing through our U-Solar program. Okay, U-Solar program, we launched it last year in Malaysia. It's in 22nd October. And then after that, Indonesia, Singapore, and lastly is in Thailand, in 5th Feb this year. So we actually partnering with 11 EPC contractors throughout the region, throughout these 4 countries, and ERS is one of them. This is just a picture of the launches and events that we did in those 4 countries. Okay, now the benefits of installing solar panels with U-Solar. So basically, if you outright purchase the system itself, you will have an immediate electricity bill savings. And with the financing that we offer you, we try to minimize the upfront cost through the solar equipment financing. And also a flexible financing, meaning that apart from the commercial and industrial segments through the solar equipment financing scheme, we also offer and provide 0% installment up to 3 years through credit card for a residential user. The next thing is, well, do your part for climate change. It's a hot issue right now, other than the COVID. And then also by installing a solar in your rooftop is actually, like I mentioned, basically it protects your rooftop. And with also by partnering with the EPCCs, the solar providers, we actually also provide a bundled installation and maintenance package. So less hassle from your side to install the solar panel itself. Next is just a simple illustration, a rough estimation that, okay, if for a commercial and industrial end user, you want to install as a 1.5 megawatt system capacity, that can be translated into around roughly 900,000 ringgit per year savings, with 189 cars taken off the road. That also means 39,000 trees planted per year, and of course, 800,000 kilogram lesser carbon dioxide. So it reduces your carbon footprint. Next, for the savings and benefit analysis for the residential user. So basically, here we put 6 kilowatt, the system capacity. It's actually already pretty much big for a residential. Also, that estimated, the rough estimation is translated to around 3,000 savings, 3,000 ringgit savings per year, or 20 cars taken off the road for over 20 years, and 3,000 trees planted, and also reducing the carbon emission. Think from my side, that's it. And here's the UOB team. If after this webinar, maybe you still have any further questions to ask about the financings and about the program itself, you can contact the names in this slide. Okay, thank you. Back to you, Shiwei.
Puan Sulina, you may begin.
Okay, a very good afternoon to all webinar participants. I'm Zulina Muhammad, the Senior Deputy Director of Green Technology Division of MIDA. Today, I would like to share with you the tax incentive for green technology in Malaysia. Next, please. Next, please. To begin with, Malaysian Investment Development Authority, or MIDA, was established in 1967 under the Malaysian Industrial Development Act. We are the government's principal agency for the promotion of the manufacturing and services sector in Malaysia. We assist companies that intend to invest in the manufacturing and services sector, as well as facilitate the implementation of their projects. Basically, we have 5 major functions, which include the first one, promotion of foreign direct investment and domestic investment. Second, evaluation of application for manufacturing licenses, tax incentive. Third, we are also responsible for recommending policies and strategies on industrial promotion and development. Fourth, we are doing licensing and incentive, compliance and monitoring. Last but not least, we assist companies in the implementation of operation of their projects. Next, please. In order to assist potential investors interested in established manufacturing project and services, MIDA has established 20 overseas centers covering Asia, Europe, US, and Australia. There are 12 state offices that are located at every state except for Perlis. Perlis covered by MIDA Alostar. Okay, next. Okay, now let's move on to the next topic, which is investment strategies and policies. We have adopted an investment ecosystem approach and laid out several strategy initiatives in attracting investment into Malaysia. We have to be selective in what we want in terms of quality investment. So some of the main features of quality investment include capital intensive, high value added, high technology, skills and knowledge intensive, utilization of natural resources, as well as green technology. Next. For the investment policy, we have a business-friendly policy. For example, for those foreign nationals, the foreigners are allowed to hold 100% equity ownership for both manufacturing and selected services sector. They can also repatriate of their income, no restriction. And in order for the companies or project to be implemented, they can also apply some key posts or term posts from MIDA. Yeah, next. For manufacturing project, basically, we under the Industrial Coordination Act, we require for those companies that have shareholder fund minimum 2.5 million, or they employ 75 full-time employees, need to apply for manufacturing license. If they don't meet this threshold, company can apply what we call exemption letter from obtaining the manufacturing license. Okay, next. Now let's move on to the topic of today, the green technology incentive. For the green tax incentive, we have the main tax to cover for the incentive, what we call Green Technology Incentive Income Tax Act. There are two types. For those companies or project, if they propose to purchase green technology asset to undertake green technology project, they can apply for ITA or investment tax allowance. However, for those companies that propose to undertake green services or activity, they can apply for investment tax exemption or ITA. Okay, next. These are the two categories of incentive for the green technology. Just now, for those company or project that purchase asset, there are 6 categories of qualifying activities: renewable energy, energy efficiency, green building, green data center, integrated waste management. For the renewable energy generation, the sources of RE can be derived from either biomass, biogas, mini hydro, solar, or geothermal. So investment in solar PV would be categorized under the renewable energy for the investment tax allowance. However, for those companies that propose to undertake green services, because they can derive income while rendering service to projects or their customer, they can apply for income tax exemption. And qualifying activity for this services activity also include RE, EE or EV, green building, green data center, green certification and verification, and green township. And you might be aware that last year in the budget 2020, the government has announced that these two incentives have been extended up to year 2023, including income tax exemption of 70% up to 10 years for those solar leasing activity. However, the guideline, the new guideline for this budget 2020 is yet to be finalized by the Ministry of Finance. Okay, next. As for the criteria of this incentive, in order to be eligible to apply for this, for GITA, of course, company must be incorporated under the Company Acts, and the project should achieve the following result to protect the environment. And then in order to be eligible for the ITE services, again, must be incorporated, and the green services must not start before 25th October 2013. This is the date the budget 2014 was announced last time. And company must meet the following green services condition to employ at least 5 full-time employees, including 1 competent personnel. Company must have a green policy and must derive income from the green technology activities. And again, for the treatment or mechanism for the extension of these two incentives, the new guideline is still pending. So whatever any changes or in terms of mechanism treatment, we will share with the public and companies once it is finalized and approved by the MOF. Next. Okay, this is just to share with all of you in terms of how we have done performing in terms of investment. For the investment tax allowance, as for last year, we managed to get a total of 427 projects with investment 4.3 billion. And for the ITE, there are 12 services project approved with investment 31.6 million. Okay, next. So for those of you that would like to have more information or probably to keep in contact with us in terms of the new status of new guideline, please drop us or contact us as stated in the slide there. Okay, with that, I would like to end my presentation. I would like to pass over to you, Shiwei.
Yes, thank you, Puan Zulina. In the question box, just click on the button at the bottom of your screen, which says Q&A. Type in any of the questions that you would like to ask, and we will get back to you. We will answer on live on the webinar. And here is our contact, the contact for us, Jackie, myself, Hui Yi, who is from UOB Bank, and Puan Zulina, who shared about the MIDA side of things. Yeah, you can take a screenshot or use your phone and take down all the contact, so it's easy for you to ask any questions later on if you have after the webinar that you want to ask. So Jackie, what are questions that we have so far?
Okay, so we have a first question in. SEDA application and installation will take how long roughly? Okay, the application process to design, commissioning will roughly take 3 to 6 months, depending on the scale of the solar PV system. Okay, I hope that will answer the first question here. All right, second question. The computation of the total tax claim from year 1 to 7 would be 240K over 24%, but the total claimable tax mentioned 48% equals to 480K. Could you clarify further? Shiwei, would you love to share that in brief?
Yes, of course, I would love to. So let me just go back to the calculation that I shared earlier. Yeah, so how we get 480,000 is because it's a total of the green investment tax allowance, 240,000, plus the capital allowance of 24% of 240,000. This and this in total will get you 480,000. So I hope that clarifies the confusion there.
All right. So the third question would be directed to MIDA side. Puan Zulina might need to assist on this. The question is, would the investment tax allowance be applicable for sole proprietorship or partnership businesses if it's not Sendam Berhad?
Okay, thanks for that question. In order to be eligible for application of GITA, a company must be incorporated under the Companies Act 2016. It must be a Sendirian Berhad. So, proprietorship enterprise are not eligible to apply.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Puan Zulina. Yeah, we will go through that. We have another question, probably Puan Zulina can also help. The solar PV O&M service providers, is it eligible for GITE also? So I guess here means full-fledged service provider for O&M only as a service. Yeah.
So may I know what are the activities that this service provider will undertake? Is it in the area of renewable energy such as solar industry in terms of providing design? If the service provider propose to undertake green services, for example, to design the solar PV, to install, to do audit, to test, to commission, they can apply for GITE.
Okay, so yes, sorry.
They must have what I call a few activities. For example, the design, they have, let's say, for example, they undertake study to do testing, commissioning, installing of the PV system.
Okay, so technically if a company is just doing the operation and maintenance, for example, a solar PV system might not be eligible to apply for a GIT tax incentive?
They should have at least 3 green activity. For example, design is one activity.
Yeah.
They have testing, commissioning, and of course, after that, they will do some maintenance of the system. So at least like 3 activities.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Zulina. All right, I hope that answered to that question. Okay, we will have some questions for UOB Bank. Are there approved equipments only by UOB participate in the U Solar program? Yeah, UOB side, you want to explain further? Yep.
So yeah, basically there are approved equipments, but it's actually the top tier equipment suppliers for solars. So you can just go look at maybe BNF or those kind of bankable panel suppliers and inverters. So yeah, basically we do have the approved equipments for the U Solar program. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. All right. We'll check that out. So further to the question, what is the warranty like for the entire solar PV system? Okay. So as Mr. Wasito has mentioned, the solar PV module are all Tier 1 rated. So they have a factory warranty of 25 years for performance, typically 12 to 15 years for product warranty. Inverter will have a factory warranty of about 5 years, extendable to a certain period of years. And overall, the whole PV system warranty from ERS would be 3 years. Okay. Okay, move forward to ERS. If we use credit card for the payment of solar PV system, do we have to pay additional charges imposed? Okay, so no additional charges will be imposed. What you see in the proposal, final amount is what you will be paying. Okay. Are there any other fees or charges if I choose to finance my PV system with 0% credit card installment? So this is answered previously. No charges are involved. That is inclusive in our proposal. Okay.
Jackie, maybe you'll also ask, is this plan offered to new credit card holders, right? So yeah, I would say that beside it is offered to new credit card holders also. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for correcting that. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. We have moving on, we have how is the energy generated separated into export and own consumption. Shivek, do you want to share a little bit more information on this from our slides? We try to clear that up.
Yeah, sure. So how is the energy generated separate to export own consumption? So anything that the solar PV system generate through the inverter will first go into your house or your factory for own consumption first. So after it goes around the house and see, okay, that's no more load that is needed, the inverter will then say, okay, there's no more load needed for the house, then it will be exported into the grid. So how is this export going to be recorded? Is through an NEM meter or net energy metering meter that the TMB will come in to change your current meter into. So that's how they separate the own consumption export. So the question is, would I be able to see how much I consume in a house? The answer is not in the inverter and not in the meter. The only way you can see is you do manual calculation every day. You can say, today when I start the day is this kilowatt hours. At the end of the day is how many kilowatt hours. Then you know what is the consumption that you consume from TMB grid. And then from there, you take that or you take the inverter kilowatt hours generated minus that, then you know what is the consumption you consumed from the PV generation. Hope that's not confusing. Hope I answer your question.
Okay, That's good. Thank you very much. Okay, let me go back up on the Q&A session because there are some questions which is missed out. There is one, it says, do we need local authority approval, for example, DPKL, for factory before proceeding installation? So to answer this, you do not require local authority or town council approval. The main reason on this is because this is a rooftop solar PV system. So it is just retrofitting on your existing building. It will involve local authority if you are building new structure, new building, for example, like car park, solar, then you will need the local authority approval. But installing on rooftops, which is our main agenda today, is not required. Okay, will ERS provide any engineering certification for our rooftop, factory rooftop, to make sure the roof can sustain the weight and loading of the mounted solar panel? Yep. I think we have shared during the start of the webinar that we will ensure that the roof structural is actually able to cater to the weight of the solar PV modules on the roof with certified CNS consultant. Hence, we will ensure this before we actually install the solar PV system. Okay. Now let's move on. All right. Is UOB participating in providing financing for such investment? Financing rate, financing tenure, financing amount. Mr. Wasito, maybe you might want to briefly answer this.
Okay. So let me for the financing rate. I mean, like we will that depends, and we will look at your company's financial strength. Basically, just the usual assessment. For the financing tenure, it's up to 7 years, and the financing amount is up to 70% of the total cost, total system cost. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. All right, thank you, Mr. Wasito. We have, let us see how many more questions we have. More is coming. All right, will we be able to get the slides of the presentation? Yes, we will be sharing to all the attendees today for the webinar materials from all parties, okay? Moving on, how long would it take for a PV setup from proposal until deployment? We have answered this previously. On average is 3 to 6 months, depending on your system capacity. Okay. Hi, I'm Muhammad Noor. For residential user for 3,000 kWh monthly, what is the minimum area to break even? 300,000 kWh to break even. So in your context, break even means you go carbon neutral. We would like to say we are going carbon neutral. Let me just have a quick calculation based on the generation on this.
Now, while Jackie calculates that consumption and a break-even point, let's move on to the next question first. So to UOB, how long does it take to apply with UOB for approval? I guess that's the credit card or any of the loan, I guess. Mr. Wasito, could you help out with this?
So basically for this to apply, once like the EPCC provider, which is the ERS, doing the assessment on your premises and on the system itself, and also after you agreed with the proposal from ERS, then it will take around, maybe if everything goes smoothly, it take around 2 to 3 weeks from our side, after the assessment satisfies the assessment from ERS side.
Yeah, would that be for the credit card part, or would that be the loan part?
That for the loan part. For the credit card, if you are UOB credit card holders already, and you already have the limit still there, then yeah, it's it's like a no-brainer lah. You just swipe the card and then that's it. Once you agree the price with ERS, then you just swipe the card and it's there. But if you are a new card holder, then perhaps it will take a little bit, maybe 1 to 2 weeks to do the assessment and also to approve the credit card limit for you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wasito.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
back
you,
to you,
Shireen.
Jackie.
All right. Thank you, Shireen. Okay, let us go back up. So for the 3,000 kilowatt hour of consumption monthly, to go carbon neutral, you will require around 29.2 kilowatt peak of solar PV system. Okay, 29.2 kilowatt peak. I will also type that in answer. Shireen, you would like to just take over?
Sure, no problem. So we have a question here. It says the GITA or capital allowance claimed by the consumer normally, can it be via the service provider or investor by PPA? I think this one can, Puan Zulina, would you be able to answer this question?
What is, Shiwei, what is again the question?
The question is the GITA or the capital allowance claimed by the consumer, can it be via the service provider or investor by PPA?
So it depends. Normally, for doing the application, service provider can submit to MIDA, and of course, in order to submit for validation to MGTC, some service provider also have this particular service for the companies. And in terms of submitting tax claim to IRB, of course, it depends how the company want it to be. They can have their own staff, or maybe they can appoint their service provider to do for them. But of course, all the document must be under the name of the company, and they should have the relevant records to submit whatever the required document for application, for the validation, and of course, at the end of the day, in terms of claiming the tax from IRB. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Zulina. And I think to top up with that, of course, I think the service provider themselves will help with the application process to get the approval for GITA. For capital allowance, I think there's no application involved, so that can be done within your own company department itself. So we have a question here. Who maintains the solar panels after the installation, and what is the frequency? Is that cost factored into the savings in ERS's proposals? So for maintenance after the installation, it can be done by us. Frequency, we will say we recommend an annual servicing and maintenance. The cost, we can factor into any of the proposal. That's not an issue. That we can do that as well. We'll go. So it's at 4:10 now. We'll answer the last question. Any other questions that has not been answered, we will record it down and then we'll answer you. We'll just answer in an email and follow up from here. No worries. Okay, so here the last question here is that the 500 megawatt NEM quota will end on 2020. How is your view on the quota offered from 2021 onwards? I think this is a bit of a tricky question because we were not able to foresee in the future, and it really depends on what the current government policy is going to be. Would they, extend the quota further? Would the NEM be extended further? And all those things, it really depends on what the current government and their policy is going to be, right? Right.
Okay, so
for your attendance today, for being here.
Yes, so we officially end our webinar. Thank you to all our panelists, and so thank you to all the attendees. Yes, feel free to just leave the webinar, or you can take picture of the contact from our share screen. Thank you.
Yeah, and if any of the questions that was did not clarify, any of our answers did not clarify your questions, you can drop us a text or email us personally as well. We will answer. We'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good day and have a great weekend ahead. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.